So I have chronic fatigue. I am a qualified personal trainer, played professional basketball in Norway, so I'm an active person, but I can't actually exercise a lot of the time. So this is a little video into my life. A lot of people always ask me, how'd you get it? What does it actually mean? How do you deal with it? How have you recovered? I get all these questions, so today we'll be answering those. So the first question is, what is chronic fatigue? What actually is it? Most people don't know. It's crazy how little spoken about it is. It's not just being tired. So for me, like, the symptoms vary from person to person. For me, what I feel is this exhausted feeling. It's the only way I can describe it, and how I describe it to like my friends and stuff is, you know, you've just walked up a flight of stairs and you just feel like out of breath, like you're just like that. That's the feeling that it is. And then on top of that, it's this like ache through your whole body, sort of when you get a flu and everything just aches, and it's just like this really uncomfortable feeling that you have. I'm just gonna move you up here. And essentially you have that feeling though through your whole body, and you get like that from really small amounts of stress. And as you get healthier, and as I'm getting healthier, my body's able to handle more before that actually happened. But for years, I've had it for 3 years now, and it's just, I'm in various, I sort of change between stages of how sensitive my body is depending on how healthy I am at the time. And at certain times, in like the bad parts, 1 or 2 late nights in a row would do it for me, and then I'd just be like, I'd need to lie around in bed all day. And the frustrating thing is, it's not just physical stress as well, it's also mental stress. So if you think, okay, I'll just rest from the gym and maybe I'll just have a really long work day. Just a work day alone, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just trying to warm up my shoulders a bit. But just a work day alone can cause the fatigue, and which is so frustrating, which is why so many people can really struggle to kind of maintain their normal life while they have it, especially when it's bad. So as I was saying, it's like a yo-yo. So you go, so you're going back and forth constantly between healthy and unhealthy, and you only go back when you overdo it, when you do too much energy exertion-esque things. But the thing is, I don't know exactly where the line is and what will mean that I'm going to overdo it, and I always want to toe the line so I can do as much as I can with this body situation. But it's as soon as you go over, it's like too late. Yo-yo back. You just get plucked backwards. And the most frustrating thing is, when you're having a little chronic fatigue moment, is that there's just nothing you can do to make it better besides nothing. Like, the less you do, the quicker you're going to get back to normal, quote unquote normal. But by doing a long day of work when you're kind of fatigued up, that'll just delay the recovery process, because, like I said before, mental stress just plays a factor into that. So the more you lie like a vegetable, do nothing, don't stimulate your brain or anything, the better. And it's just so boring. It's so boring. But when it comes to training, I want to toe the line, because I want to train, like, obviously, and I try to push it and go like as much as I can, as much as my body can handle, but I don't want to go over, because once I go over, it just sets me back, then it takes longer. But it's just, you never know where it is, and eventually I get a little impatient, or I think I overestimate my abilities a little bit, and then fly on back. Next set. So the weight I do at the gym is not dictated by how strong I am. It's dictated by how I'm feeling, how fragile, chronic fatigue-esque I'm feeling. Because if I'm feeling a little bit more fragile, then even though I can go heavier strength-wise, it could push me over the edge. So I'm constantly kind of having to listen to my body and think, like, you know, is this a smart thing to do? And it can be excruciatingly slow sometimes to sort of hold yourself back when you're thinking, I can go heavier than this, and it's so frustrating. But you got to do it, and in the long term it will lead to like faster growth and faster recovery from chronic fatigue. Because I feel like each time you overdo it, that sets you back. That just prolongs the whole process of recovering. So today I'm doing 90 kilos on squats, and that's not that heavy for me. I was doing 105 like a month ago, and then I had my first little chronic fatigue setback in like 5 months. That was my longest period of like being really good, and then it's been about a month now. I've just been a bit not that great, and it's really frustrating because it keeps stopping my ability to train, and obviously affects every area of life really. The main thing separate to training, when you're chronic fatigued up, it's sort of like when you're caked up, but not quite as good. But when you're chronic fatigued up, you just lose this sort of excitement. Like you just feel unbothered for life. And it's a very depressive condition because being tired is just not fun. Like I remember when my doctor first diagnosed me with chronic fatigue, he said to me, I would rather be in pain than being tired. I'd rather be in pain than be tired. Because being tired is just like, you just feel like you just want to lie around. Like it's just, you just feel unexcited. You feel like everything feels more anxiety inducing because it's just overwhelming. It's just like a difficult place to be in. Like mentally it's really hard. Anyway, let's go into set number deuce. Check my squat form, by the way. I've been doing heaps of mobility and stretching and things like that just because that's one thing that isn't too physically tiring for me. Wait, hold up. I'm going to move you here. So something a little bit more in my control. So I've just gotten really flexible after now. Okay, you're going to balance for me. The funny thing is, chronic fatigue has been really good for my joints and my flexibility because I've been stretching so much. I'm doing about half an hour to 40 minutes a day. I can't train as much, so I've just been, for the last 6 months, just like, fuck it, I'll just stretch heaps. So that's a really big positive. The funny thing is as well, my whole life I've had really bad knee problems. I had quadricep tendinopathy in both my knees from basketball. I've been to so many physios about it. Wait, sorry, let me just catch my breath. But yeah, I've been to so many physios about it, and they just tried all these weird things that just nothing ever worked. And now I've started heaps of hip mobility. Some of the stuff I was doing my warm up, and my knees have never felt better. I'm just like, were they just doing that to keep me coming back? I don't know. But I'm feeling good anyway. I realised this shirt might have not been the best colour for a gym sesh. I just found it in my old drawer. But I like the shape of it. One thing that chronic fatigue has done for me, which I'm super grateful for, is I'm so appreciative of my health now. Like I'll never again take for granted when I am feeling good. Because I feel like it's so easy to just be like, oh, I can't be bothered or whatever. No, if I'm feeling good, I'm training. Because it's been 3 years, people. 3 years that I've been dealing with this. It's just a long stint of just going back and forth, and I realise I haven't actually said how I kind of got to here. So 6 months ago was the first time I was feeling good enough to actually train, and that was when I was like, all right, let's start like reintroducing it. And what I did was I started really light, and only 2 gym sessions in that first 2 weeks maybe, and really light, like really low intensity, so it wasn't too much strain on my body, and then just super painfully build it up from there. You might have heard of the term progressive overload, which is like, for hypertrophy, it's like the optimal way to grow muscle. You slowly add on load, stress on your body, which is through like volume or weight. For chronic fatigue, the optimal way to grow muscle would be ultra, extremely, incredibly progressive overload. You got to go so slowly with it and just be so patient. And I'm inherently impatient, so it's been a good challenge for me to slow down a little bit, I suppose. But yeah, I'm so grateful for my health now, and I will never take that for granted again, that's for sure. Alright, let's do this shit. Yeah. Another thing about me is I love training legs. He says as he does some chest press. But contrary to most guys, I love leg day. I just really want to grow my legs. Like, I think it looks embarrassing when people have massive upper bodies and just little chicken legs. So that's why I'm trying to grow these bad boys. But the cool thing is now as well, since I've been training legs, I can kind of randomly go like this, ready? That's my shoulder injury, so that's a story for another time. Oh, okay. The hardest thing for me when I first got chronic fatigue and I just couldn't train at all for a long time was I placed so much of my self-worth on my body and how I looked. And I was never like a bodybuilder or anything, but I was always really fit and in shape. And suddenly I was just like losing weight. I think I ended up losing like, I don't know, at least 10 kilos, maybe a bit more. But I was suddenly like, fuck, like, I'm gonna be ugly. I'm gonna be like, I'm not cool anymore. And it was such almost like an identity crisis. I was like, who am I if I'm not fit? And the reason that was actually such a good, like, important moment for me, another reason I'm grateful for chronic fatigue is because I realized I'm fucking awesome whether or not I'm muscular. And I can be confident regardless of that, you know what I mean? So now, it removes the unhealthy aspect of training. You know, if I'm training just because I think I need to train to appeal to others or something like that, then that's just bad. But now I'm only training because I want to, because it makes me feel good. Because I realize I love myself regardless of what I look like, regardless of like how fit I am. That doesn't change me really. So that was just like a pretty big moment for me, that realization, which came from this syndrome. I'm chronic fatigued up. I'm caked up. I am caked up as well, to be fair. But yeah, because I am, like, look, this is how awesome I am. I can go like, I can do this. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, there's no doubt really about that. Okay, I'm doing one more exercise. This is my fourth. Ideally I like to do like 6, but trying to be smart here. This is my first gym session back in like 4 or 5 days. So I'm trying to, you know, not just ruin myself. Because like I said, I've been stuck in this little setback for like a month now because I keep not resting long enough and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I'm gonna do some flies. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Cover your ears. Oh. Oh, fuck. Oh, that feels heavy. Why does that feel so heavy? Okay. A little tip for this, which I realised, if you have your elbow like in line with your shoulder when you do these, I find it puts a lot more pressure on my shoulder joint and I get like shoulder pain. But if I just like, rather than being up here, if I bring it down slightly, so it's more like diagonal angle, then it's so much more comfortable, and it actually goes over my chest a lot more, which is what I'm trying to target here, as opposed to my front delt. Anyway, so rather than going like straight down like that, I immediately feel a bit of shoulder pain there. If I angle it more like this, so much better, and you'll find you're hitting your chest more nicely anyway. I realised I haven't actually told you how I got chronic fatigue. So a bit over 3 years ago, I got glandular fever, and in America they call that mono. It comes from the Epstein-Barr virus, but got glandular fever, got a really bad case of that, and I was like bedridden for 3 months, and then I came out of it. I thought I was like on the up, so then I would like go out, maybe drink a bit, or try to train again, all these things. And I don't know if it was because I just like kept pushing it too much, not giving myself enough rest, but eventually it just turned into chronic fatigue, which is what I've got now. And that's sort of how it came about. I'm not sure if I could have done anything to prevent it, like maybe in hindsight, if I just literally rested for 6 solid months and didn't try to rush things, then I wouldn't have it now. But I don't know, no regrets. I'm pretty happy with my life, where I am now in life, living in London and all that fun stuff. So yeah, that's how I got it. But some people who have long COVID have really similar symptoms. It's a similar vibe to that. I can show you the meds and whatever that I'm taking a little bit later, which I started about a year ago now, and have been really helpful. I can confirm, by the way, this shirt is not a good choice to train in. I would like to preface that the weather is really hot today, so that's part of the reason I'm sweating so much. But yeah, it is humid in here. Holy fuck. I sometimes feel like I'm one of those like rats on that never-ending treadmill. Sexy rat, to be fair, but on that never-ending treadmill where they have like the prize or like the food hanging right in front of them and like running as fast as they can to get there, but they just can't seem to get there. Cause I always say the tough thing is like when you get hope that it's like you've made it, you know, you're over the hump, and then just get chucked back. It's just like such a mental battle, really. But I'm so chill with it now. Like it's just part of my life. I am gonna fully get rid of it one day. But I don't know. I think like a couple times a year, maybe 2-3 times a year, I'll have like a day that I need to take where I just have a little self-pity day and feel bad for myself. And then besides that, it's not bad at all. You know, I love my life, so it's really not that bad once you get used to it. Wait, what was I just doing? But yeah, I think the hardest thing is when people say to someone else who has chronic fatigue and no one really gets it, and you have to miss out on a lot of things. Like if you're on a night out with your friends, you have to be like, fuck, I gotta go to sleep early here, otherwise I could just like ruin myself, because sleep is so important for like recovery and can just impact you so much with chronic fatigue. So you got to leave early, and most people are just like, oh, stop being a baby, or like I think when people associate laziness with chronic fatigue, like you're just like tired, like I'm tired too, but it's just so different to just being tired. You know what I mean? So I think some people can feel quite isolated when they have this because they feel like no one really understands it, and people just kind of act like they're being a drama queen or something. I've done the worst stretches ever here. I haven't been paying attention. I'm bad at multitasking. Oh, in case you couldn't notice. Oh. What would I say? I'm also so I started a low carb diet a year ago, and this was advised to me by my doctor to go real low carbs. So I went like 4 months extremely low, like 50 grams of carbs a day max, and that's like so hard to do, especially for me. And I've always been like someone who just eats really healthy, but I'll just have like dessert and things like that, and because I'm also really active, that's always been fine. So just suddenly cut out like carbs, like no rice, no pasta, and then obviously like no chocolate or like nice little things that I treat myself to usually or previously. That was really tough, and then after 4 months I like went slightly less strict, so I still never really have dessert items that often. The latter half of last year I was having like 1 to 2 pastries a week, like as my sort of quota, my max. Just because they're like the little joys of the world, aren't they? And that was it. Besides that, I was having like a little bit of pasta with my dinners and whatever, but for the most part I tried not to have too many carbs still. I've been really strict this past month that I've had my little setback, just because trying to get me back on track. But yeah, like sugar and like anything that like spikes your energy levels is something to avoid, which is the purpose of this diet. So I think I do think I'll always just be on this diet for the rest of my life, just because it is a healthier way to be as well. Anyway, and the meds that I'm taking, I'm taking NAC, 400 milligrams, I believe, and I take that 3 times a day. One at brekkie, lunch, dinner. I take Co-enzyme Q10 once a day, just in the morning. They're the 2 main things that have like been big helps as well, because I started taking that about a year ago, and a year ago was when I started like getting way better. And yeah, that's the main thing. Sleep is just, I can't emphasize that enough, how important that is for me. I hate that I have to sleep for so long, but I do, and I've sort of come to accept that now. But I need at least 9 hours, essentially. And if I go a couple of days in a row of like 8 hours or something like that, which for most people is like a good sleep, I'll start feeling achy and start feeling bad. So yeah, sleep's really important for me. Yeah, I think that's like the general vibe of my story and my life at the moment. Can I answer any other questions anyone has? But yeah, if you do have chronic fatigue, you're not alone. Like, a lot of people have it, a lot more than you'd realise. It's just not very spoken about, I suppose. I'm going to be sort of vlogging my whole journey here with like my life, my recovery and fitness, but also just whatever I get up to in London where I live. I'm home right now in Sydney, but I'll be back to the London chaos in like less than 2 weeks. So yeah, feel free to follow along here, motherfucker.